and welcome to YMTF Live. I'm Kevin Blakely, a senior technical architect for AT&T in St. Louis, Missouri. I am live with YMTF radio broadcasting in celebration of our 38th annual YMTF program, which is a program designed to help students realize the importance of preparing for a successful entry into the real world of work. We have selected a panel of ladies and gentlemen from diverse employment backgrounds to share with you their thoughts and expert opinions to some questions that are guaranteed to get your thinking wheels turning. Social networking is exploding worldwide. With that said, we have chosen a topic that is causing much buzz in the workplace. Our topic today is making smart choices in the age of social media. Our goal is to create an awareness of the do's and don'ts of social media. What is acceptable, what is not? It does not matter which social media site you use, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Flickr. Your online personality is a part of your overall brand. It becomes an interactive experience for you. So, who is the face or voice of your brand, and what do they share? This topic is sure to hold your interest and make you reevaluate the way you use social networking websites. As I stated, we have 4 panelists from a diverse employment background to share with you their thoughts and opinions on our chosen topic, making smart choices in the age of social media. We will make these introductions right after our first commercial break.
When you earn your GED diploma, the barriers in your life fall. Take the first step and get free GED information in your area at 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or yourged.org. Earn your GED diploma and begin your brighter future.
We're back, and for those of you who are just joining us, we are here in celebration of UAPB's 38th annual YMTF program, which we are broadcasting live from right here on the campus of UAPB in the Fine Arts Auditorium. As promised, we will be introducing you to our panelists. We have with us this morning first, Ms. Keisha Carey, President and CEO of Career Coaching by Keisha Carey, Next, we have Mr. Ron Lance, Senior Director of Operations Support Asset Protection with Walmart Stores Incorporated. Next to Ron, we have our very own attorney, Carla Martin, Dean for the School of Business and Management here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Lastly, we have Mr. Ricky Peer, the Program Manager for Depot Automation with the United States Army. Now that you know who the panelists are, let's get started. In a recent HBCU newsletter publication received in the Office of Career Services, a survey conducted by Execunets indicates that 77% of employers are using social networking websites to screen applicants. Since we have 2 panelists that are employers, I will direct my first question to you, starting with Mr. Peer with the United States Army. Mr. Peer, does your company fit into this 77% of employers that are utilizing social media to screen applicants? And if so, how are they using it?
Kevin, I will start with the U.S. Army. We follow the OPM, Office of Personnel Management Guidelines. And the answer, do we screen candidates using social network? The answer is no. Let me just tell you the process that we do follow is we look at the security background of the candidate. We go through deeply into the financial records. We look at the FBI database, the data bank on the criminal activity, if any, and so on. I mean, we look at the personal financial background, and all those things have an impact if they are suitable for employment. Now, as a manager, I personally take a look at Facebook and see if the candidate is responsible. See what type of judgment So do we fit into that 77%? Officially, the answer is no, because that's not part of the OPM guidelines, and we strictly go by the guidelines. But as a manager, I take an additional step.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Perry. And now we will hear from Mr. Lance with Walmart. Is your company using social media to screen potential applicants? And if so, how are they using it? If not, what are some of the things that your company is using social media sites for as it relates to employment?
Now, Mr. Blakely, we do use social media in the consideration of candidates. How and how much really varies depending on the recruiter, hiring manager, and the different areas of our company. One site that I know that we do use some is LinkedIn, which a lot of people are familiar with. I believe I've read recently it had like 70 million users. It's a professional networking where people make their information available on that particular site. So because they want it to be accessible to people, to the public, to view their profiles and their information. So our recruiters use some of that information in learning about both sourcing candidates and also as we get applicants and getting to know more of their background and history that they've made available for general knowledge. So that's one way. We also use both Twitter and also Facebook to help with our Walmart brand, because we have pages on both Twitter and also Facebook to give information about Walmart. And as part of that information, we'll talk about opportunities, career opportunities with the company, and refer people to our website. So if they want to find out more, even about job postings, they can do so through just going to walmartstores.com.
Thank you, Mr. Lance. Ms. Keisha Carey, as a career coach, and with so many employers using social media to screen applicants, what are some of the things that you advise your clients against posting on their media pages and text messages?
Some of the things that I advise clients against is posting arguments, any kind of drama that you may have with your friends or friends of friends, complaints about your university, about your boss, about your current position, anything negative that may make you look bad, may reflect negatively on you. You simply don't want to post it. Any photos from any parties, any hands in inappropriate places, any financial information. The fact that you made $5,000 last week and you have a picture of the money on your Facebook page, that is extremely unprofessional. And I only say these things because people have come to me with these situations and they've happened, and they now want to know, what can I do to fix this problem? Some of the other things is revealing extreme views on politics, on religion, on ethnicities, on different things that are going on, you know, in the social media arena. You have people sometimes when they're watching, you know, I'll take for example, there was a big issue that I assisted an employee with when it was around the Democratic Party nominations and things like that, where you had employees that were, every time the network would take a break, then they would put it on their Facebook what they thought about the candidates, and you know, really revealing some personal information. So that is an absolute no-no, because you have to remember your brand. And as this gentleman said, Ron, you know, they're looking at Facebook and some of these other social medias as, you know, outsourcing or sourcing where they found these candidates, but you're giving them so much information that they don't even need. So those are just a few of the things that you really should think about before posting on your social media.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carey. Recently in the news, it was reported that a Mississippi State football player was suspended from the team for derogatory comments that he posted about his coach on his Facebook wall. Attorney Carla Martin, since students are using so much technology with cell phones, instant messaging, and internet, what type of reinforcements are being put into place to help educate our students on the proper use of social media and other technology?
Thank you. Mr. Blakely, I think sessions and seminars like this are paramount for our students to be able to understand the importance of social networking and social media. So many times students identify Facebook and Twitter as means to build a community, but it's more than that. You are leaving your virtual imprint for people to track and understand who you are many years to come. So you must think about what you are posting on Facebook so that you are portraying the brand and the image that's most important and will help you be most successful. I think the numbers speak for themselves. Facebook has approximately 500 million users. Twitter has 100 million users. LinkedIn has over 70 million users. So when you look at numbers like that, somewhere in the midst of that spectrum are individuals who will be seeking to employ you. So you need to know and be considerate of what you are posting. Maybe we need to create classes that speak to the importance of social media to make sure that our students understand that you are leaving and building your legacy. So you must be mindful of what you post now in order to be most successful in your future.
All right, thank you, Dean Martin. I think we really appreciate the information and the insights you've all provided us. This concludes our first segment, so we ask that you stay tuned, and we will be back after the break with more on making smart choices in the age of social media.
Listen, I know you're upset, but it was just one date. And dating's like the stock market. There's ups and downs and ups and so always buy low.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Welcome back to YMTF Live with our panelists. Statistics show from the same publication of the HBCU Career Staff newsletter that 40% of employers are concerned about inappropriate photos and information posted on potential candidates' web pages. 41% are concerned about information posted on drug and alcohol use. 29% poor communication skills. 28% bad mouthing of former employers or fellow employees. 27% inaccurate qualifications. 22% unprofessional screen names. 21% notes showing links to criminal behavior. And 19% confidential information about past employers. You all may remember the incident about a year ago where the Burger King employee posted pictures on YouTube of himself taking a bath in the restaurant sink. As a result, the employee was terminated. I pose this question to Mr. Peer. This situation seems to be the extreme. So what other type of photo would be inappropriate? Please tell why they would be considered inappropriate.
Well, Kevin, I think Mrs. Carey made it very clear in some of her comments. Any drinking parties that you want to display on your Facebook is inappropriate. Photos showing body parts, in which I've seen some of those on some of the young folks. They, for some reason, feel that that's important to display, but that's very unprofessional for any potential employer looking for a employee to represent their company, whether you're with a private company or with the United States government, Army, it would be inappropriate. Not only what they put, the individuals themselves put on their Facebook, but photos that's taken by someone else that you have no knowledge of. And I'll give you an example of a situation that I became aware of about 2 weeks ago. Young man in the back seat of a car riding with his friends, and they smoking, and this particular young man decided to smoke a blunt. And of course, someone in the car took a picture of it and posted it on the Facebook. And he has no idea how to get it removed. So, photos that you would be embarrassed to show your parents, your priest, or your pastor are photos that would be inappropriate for an employer.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. Mr. Lance, what type of policies have been put in place to bring awareness to employees of the do's and don'ts of social media? If these policies are violated, what are the consequences?
Mr. Blakely, we do have a corporate social media policy. In fact, it was revised last year, just keeping up with the times, because as you mentioned earlier, social media has just exploded. So we want to be sure that our policy aligns with the way the world is today. In regards to that, first in terms of education and awareness, our associates with Walmart have access to our policies. Then also we cover policies through their orientation for new associates, and also for the e-learning, the computer-based learning that we have as well. And then we also have store meetings, a multiple number of meetings, education, awareness opportunities with our associates as well, to advise them as well as answer questions and so forth. So definitely the effort is there to educate, to make aware, to ensure people have access and know our policies. But with the policy itself, it recognizes that social media is part of the world today, and that a lot of people will be using it, and that there are rewards to that in terms of it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's a way to connect, it's a networking opportunity. So it really serves a great purpose. The other side of that, though, for the policy that we caution people is that there are risks involved in it as well. Because you're responsible, you have that personal responsibility for what you post through electronic communication, whether it be yours or somebody else's. But if you're the one posting it, then you have the responsibility to ensure that that's appropriate, that it's appropriate conduct. And that if your communications, electronic communications or otherwise, are not appropriate conduct, then it can be, if it's adverse to your job performance, adverse to other Walmart associates, adverse to our customers, to our suppliers, to others working on behalf of the company, then that can be investigated, it will be reviewed, looked into, and it could be subject to a disciplinary type action up to and including termination. So the policy itself really is designed to just uphold our basic code of conduct with the company. And as you look at the policy, it really just really covers our three basic beliefs of respect, service, and excellence. So within the policy, and it's not a real long policy, it basically says follow the rules. Everybody agrees to an ethics policy with our company, so follow our ethics policy. We have a policy that prohibits discrimination and harassment. So you wouldn't want to post, you wouldn't want to communicate anything that creates harassment or discrimination. So follow the rules. Show respect. So you don't want to be insulted, create embarrassment to others. Again, following the rules, showing respect. You don't want to have threats of violence, anything of that nature. You also want to be sure that it falls in line with what's appropriate within the company in terms of confidentiality. You don't want to be sharing any information that's considered confidential from a company standpoint, whether it be reference anything relating to our customers or relating to trade secrets, whatever it could be. It also has brief mention in terms of retaliation, so that if an associate sees something that's through electronic communication, through social media that they feel like is wrong, that's inappropriate, and they want to report that, then they can do so. And the policy says that in doing so, that will be looked into, but there will be no retaliation in any form or fashion with that associate because they chose to report that. So in general, that's kind of where our policies are and how we educate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lance. It is said that it takes 21 days to form a habit. Since our students develop a lot of these habits during their college years, Dean Martin, do you think that there should be a policy on college campuses to address social media to help students understand the importance of using it wisely? Why or why not?
Yes, 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 and yes again. I think it is imperative that we have social media policies here at our university. We already heard how Walmart is utilizing social media policies, and we need to have them here. Basically, they talk about how you should behave at work and how you should behave outside of work. So these policies, if we were to create one at this institution, would not be intended to stifle your First Amendment rights and your freedom of speech. But you must follow the rules. It's plain and simple. We have policies against fighting. We have policies against cheating. Why not have policies that help educate students about the importance of building your brand? And that's what it's all about. So we need students to understand that yes, you may have a negative experience someplace or with someone, but that's not what you post on Facebook. Because when people decide to get to know you a little bit better without asking you who you are, they rely on Facebook. So when you can't explain something away or there's a negative connotation with what you post, don't post it. And that way, we make sure you're building the brand or creating the brand that's most important to you. So ultimately, yes, we need them, we need to hold them and stick to it. We don't fight, we don't cheat. We need to be mindful of how we use social media also.
All right, thank you, Ms. Martin. Ms. Carey, as a career coach and with social media usage in the workplace being on the rise, what type of demand has there been to your business to train recent or future graduates on what's proper as it relates to social media usage? Are you incorporating this into any of your training without request?
Yes, I have definitely incorporated social media training into my workshops and seminars. But when you tell someone, social media etiquette, and we're talking to what I call the new millennials, they're really not going to hear you because they think of social media as a movement. They think it's their freedom of speech. They think it's, their right. They can say what they want to say. They can do what they want to do. So I try to, I thought about it and I try to reverse it and think about it as your personal branding. What is it that you want to put out there? How do you want to be known? How do you want to be recognized? So to take that a step further in some of my workshops, I'll have an individual to stand up and I'll know who's going to be in there ahead of time. And I have that individual to stand up and I'll ask them to tell me about themselves. And then I'll say, you know what, never mind, go ahead and sit down. And then I stand up and I tell them exactly what I know about them. And it's not pretty sometimes. And matter of fact, if they even look embarrassed, why be embarrassed? You got it out there for the world to see. I know you kicked it last weekend. I know you hung with your girls in Texas. I know that y'all didn't get back until 5. I saw the pictures. I see this, I see that, I know this, I know that, and that's a greater impact. So I don't start off and, and I say, come to my workshop, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts. I say personal branding. And my philosophy is, and I say this almost every workshop I do related to success, I believe that your resume is a living, breathing document. It's your marketing tool. It speaks for you when you cannot be present, when you are not present. Social media is simply an extension of that. So what you put out is going to come back to you one way or the other. So.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carey. But now we've talked about the darker side of the social network. We'll be back after a short commercial break with more of what you've been waiting for, the positive side of social media. Thank you. Welcome back to Live with YMTF. We are broadcasting live on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and I'm Kevin Blakely. Before we go to this next part, Dean Martin wanted to make a response also to the topic that Ms. Carey spoke on. Dean Martin.
Thank you. Ms. Carey touched on some very important statement when she talked about new millennials not understanding that there are some things they cannot say because they believe that they have freedom of speech. Yes, we do have freedom of speech rights, but the Supreme Court has also indicated that there are some things we cannot say. We can't go around threatening people. We can't go around harassing people. We can't go around making defamatory statements. So this is beginning to tread upon, the path that has already been outlined by the Supreme Court. You've heard of the stories where family members and young people were being bullied on Facebook. And young people end up taking their lives, so forth and so on, because of the damage that was being done to them by the things being posted on Facebook. So you can't do that. So at some point in the very near future, it would not surprise me if we began to see more cases in the courtrooms nearing the Supreme Court that speak to how people abuse social media. So it's not just about building your brand, it's about safety, and it's also about being responsible. So you must be mindful of those things also.
Thank you, Dean Martin. We've talked about what not to do and what to stay away from. Now let's talk about the benefits of using social media to market yourself. You heard in the beginning, based on the survey, 77% of employers are using social media to screen applicants. So what type of information will provide a positive image for our students? Mr. Lance.
I think first of all, Mr. Blakely, I would say embrace it. I mean, and I would advise students to use it, to embrace it. And I think that's part of the message here, is that it is there. It's going to continue to be so much important part of our society, and it'll continue to grow. So really embrace it. Just learn how to use it to your advantage, and really learn to use it as a great resource, both for the enjoyment side of it, in networking, connecting with people, as well as how you can really promote your personal brand. And I think all that is so important. And I think it somewhat depends on what kind of media that you're using at the time. Like I mentioned earlier about LinkedIn. It's viewed as a professional networking. So many people who are actually already engaged in work and been in work for a number of years are using LinkedIn. So if you're going to connect with that particular social media, with that site, then present a very professional image. So when I go out, I look at your profile, that I see a professional image of you. And on LinkedIn, you have an opportunity to provide recommendations. So use those recommendations to help promote you, in terms of if you want someone to highlight that you have very good communication skills, have somebody make a recommendation that highlights that within as a special attribute for you. So utilize it to your advantage in that regard. I think as you look at Facebook, you got to keep it in perspective. Facebook if you're creating a professional page, or is it personal? And when I look at Facebook, if it's personal, then I recognize it as personal, but it's still got to be appropriate. So what is the story that it's telling about you in terms of the picture that you want to display there, and what kind of communications you want to display there? So I think that's very important. I looked recently at a picture there that showed a young man that was attending a Valentine's Day dinner with his young daughter. It was a very neat picture. I went to another Facebook page to look at information on a person, and it was about a mission trip. I didn't know what I was going to find, but the pictures that were displayed there was about a mission trip. It was obvious. And that was a very, very good telling the story of that person. So there's a lot of different ways that in sharing with families and friends that you can portray the appropriate, the correct image for you, your personal brand, while at the same time really enjoying the social media. But definitely embrace it, use it, communicate with it, just really learn how to use it the very best way. One other point, I guess, and kind of sum it up, is from an employment standpoint, if we look at it, help to position yourself as a candidate of choice. Present yourself in a way that will like you, not stay away from you. Present yourself in a way that we'll want to include you, not exclude you. So I think those are the kind of things that you got to think about as you create that personal brand. But it's a great resource, a great help to you.
Thank you, Mr. Lance. Mr. Peer, what type of information would provide a positive image in your opinion?
And Kevin, I will follow with some of the comments that Mr. Lance made. Social media is here to stay. And if you're watching current events and news, you know the revolution in the Middle East started from Facebook, with the young people tweeting and communicating on Facebook. So it's here to stay. It's not going away. But image, you're setting your image, who you are. And you know not who's watching you, but at all times you've been watched. So you have to use Facebook and the social media to brand yourself, to set your image. And like anything, if you have a negative image, it's very hard to rub off. If you have a positive image, it's hard to rub off, which is good, and that's what you want. For the students, you're here to market yourself, to get your education. Once you receive your degree, then you want to market your skill set to influence me as an employer. I am good for your company. And it starts today, not after you graduate, it's today. As you set your Facebook, put photos out there, display, demonstrate a positive image of who you are.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Ms. Carey, could you address it, please?
In addition to what Mr. Peer and Mr. Lance has said, I also believe that just to go back and describe professional image, because sometimes we don't necessarily understand or know specifics when we talk about professional image. Professional image on any of the social media would be not linking your LinkedIn account with your Facebook account, because your Facebook obviously is more personal, but as Mr. Lance said, it needs to be appropriate. So you don't want to link those two together. But career aspirations, any leadership skills that you may have, any organizations that you may be a part of, you want to list those things on your social media of choice. You also want to make sure that, you know, if you receive a promotion, maybe you receive some award that you have to walk across the stage for. So any picture, as Mr. Lance said, that's going to show what value you can bring to an employer, who you are, your personal brand, those are the type of things that you want to include. That would be a positive image.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Martin, since there's no guidelines on the use of social media on campus, what advice would you give to students to help build a positive brand image on campus?
So I've got a list, but it's a short list. So the first thing you'd want to do, if you've done some of the things we said don't do, then you need to take the time to clean that up. Get rid of your pictures, remove any content, remove any links that could ultimately work against you, just as my fellow panelists have indicated. Create your own professional group. Create a page that shows you in your professional light. Show things and pictures where you're doing community service, where you are talking about, I got accepted into Alpha Chi, or Sigma Beta Delta, any honor society. Talk about those good things. Talk about the fact that you're on your way to do community service, showing that you give back to your community, highlighting that you are a well-rounded individual. As Ms. Carey said, keep personal things offline. Don't fuss, don't complain, don't gripe. Keep that stuff offline. It doesn't portray you in a positive light. And be careful about who your friends are, because what your friends post can be seen on your page. So be mindful of who your friends are. And if your friends are using foul language or being discriminatory, block them. Those are not your friends. They are not going to help you be successful. Surround yourself with individuals that are trying to go the places, or maybe have even been the places you're trying to get. Another thing that's important, if you are employed, don't mention on Facebook that you're looking for a job. Your employer will see that. Your coworkers will see that. I mean, you've got to think. You must always be thinking. And lastly, do your research. Do your research online to find out who's doing things in personal branding. How do I be mindful? How do I grow my personal brand? Dan Schwabel, SCHAWBEL, is on Twitter, and he is a personal branding expert. So follow him, and you'll get tidbits about, how to do this, how to change your brand. There's also a book by Damon John, who's written a book entitled The Brand Within, The Power of Branding from Birth to the Boardroom. So instead of downloading the latest CD from iTunes, take that same money and purchase this book by Mr. John so you can understand from an expert who's in the industry about the power of creating a personal brand. Those are simple things to do. easy things for everyone who's in this audience or listening on the radio to take heed and do those things. By doing that, then you don't necessarily need a guideline. You've done some simple things to get you on your way.
Thank you, Dean Martin. We definitely say we appreciate the advice and opinions that we have from our panel. But now this is another time. This is the time where we get to hear from you, our listening audience. So right after this break, this short break, we'll come back and take questions from the audience. Thank you.
Hi, it's Elmo.
And I'm Secretary Kathleen Sebelius.
Elmo and Secretary Sebelius are here to tell you how to stay healthy this flu season.
First, you learn to sneeze into the bend of your arm like this.
Oh, very good. Always wash your hands really well.
And remember to have a plan in case your child is too sick for school, so someone can stay home with them until they get better.
Stay healthy, America.
Welcome back to Live with YMTF. Again, we are broadcasting live on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. My name is Kevin Blakely, and I'm here with our panelists who have provided an excellent amount of information regarding social media. At this time, we want to give the audience an opportunity to come forward and ask questions of our panelists and have them addressed. We have a microphone set up. If we could have the questions now, please.
Hi, my name is Kendra McCraney. I'm a sophomore here at the university and my major is chemistry. My question is, on many social sites, users don't use their real names. They use their nicknames or names that describe them. How can they make or break that in the hiring process?
Kendra, this is Ron Lance responding to the question, and just on a general guidance, it may, if they're not actually using their real name, it may be difficult to identify who they are. So from a hiring process, if you're actually looking to social media to give you some insight into that particular person, I really see it as unadvised from the standpoint of hindrance. So really, if you're hoping that social media will help you with the hiring process, if that's your intent, then putting your name out there and providing the appropriate right information so that people will have visibility to it, to me would be a good approach to take. Like I say, not all people will use social media, but it is so widespread. Now, I think another aspect of that is, I think this is hit on the question, is that people know who you are. If you're using something other than your name, nickname or whatever, other people know who you are. And what I've seen for social media is that you may not be using Facebook, like I don't use Facebook, but I hear a lot of what's put on Facebook. And I hear about people who I know in terms of what they put on Facebook. Because people I know use Facebook. So it may not be directly, but it could be indirectly. So even if maybe the intent is by using a different name or a nickname, I may not be as noticed and I can go a different path. It might be ill-advised, because I think part of what you're looking for is you're looking from an employer standpoint, for however you're using social media, is you're looking for a consistency of message, a consistency of brand. So if what I'm hearing in an interview, what I'm seeing on a resume, if I'm seeing something on a social media, or hearing something about that person in regards to social media, is that consistent with that overall brand of the individual? So that's some ideas on the question.
Thank you.
Just to add a comment to that, Kendra, if from an Army standpoint, the OPM, we do a very thorough background check. And if you've seen on some of your application, otherwise known as, AKA, I don't know if you've seen that on some of your applications, but the background investigation is so thorough, they will talk to someone that will know you by every name that you have used in the past. So it's ill-advised to cover up your face, attempt to cover up your Facebook with a different name other than your real name.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Kier Smith, a senior computer science major here on campus, and I have two questions. My first question is for the entire panel. Everything that is put on the internet it is stored somewhere in a database system. And even though there are buttons on the site that you can take pictures off of there, even though they're not on the website, they're still stored on a database system. So how do you all go by playing that? If it's not on the site, but it's still inside of that system, is that still bad?
I think that simply said that's considered a consequence. If you are putting something out there that you later want to take off, you know, simply put, I think it's a consequence. It's something that you'll have to live with, because not only is it stored in a database, you don't know who saved or copied that. And if you don't know, when you have an account with Facebook, if you don't go into your network settings, any ad out there can go and pull any of your pictures and place them in their ad. To give you an example, I had a young lady that came to me. On her profile, she's listed as single. So there was it absolutely was not Match.com, but there was a company, Match.com, that said singles in your area with her picture on there. They had every right to do that legally, because when you sign up, you should have read that they could do that. So if Starbucks, for example, wants to say that you love coffee because you clicked a like, or you said, I'm at Starbucks today, I love it, then they have every right to do that, unless you go into your network settings, go down and click that cannot happen. Most people don't know that, or most people think they don't care, but do you really want to be the face of, you know, some unknown entity out there? So that's you having to take responsibility and accountability for yourself, for your actions.
And I also have a second question, and this question is for you, Ms. Carey. You talked about there being types of group of settings that allow that the business consultant talks to students about the importance of this. And the question I have is how can students that are like-minded, that know, that see the downfall of that are young students but actually seeing it now, how can we play a part into that other than just sitting down in there just listening?
Okay, I think if I understood you correctly, you want to know how can you as a student help other students when you see them falling into some of these pitfalls. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I think that it's as simple as when you see someone that's, you know, that's not making smart choices, it's as simple as you saying, you know what, if I were you, I wouldn't do that, and let me tell you why. You know, that's the only way you can make a difference, is by you standing up and when you see something, as my mom used to say, if you see trash on the floor, you pick it up. You don't walk over it and say, I didn't do it, I didn't put it down. So you have to, that's again, being responsible for, I think they teach it even in my daughter's pre-K class. Every morning, one of the things they recite is, you know, taking responsibility for not only yourself, but your environment, taking responsibility for your world. So you help one person, and you may even want to start a movement on your campus. How awesome would it be to say that you started this movement on your campus, that you're going to reach out and help students because you saw a need for change? I know that if I was an employer and you were sitting in my interview and you said something like that, I would say, okay, I'm going to, you know, I want to talk more to you. I want to send you on to another interview where we're looking to hire people just like you. That's being a change agent. Sure.
Hello, my name is Elena Buckner. I'm a sophomore here majoring in textile and apparel design. My question is, I know that Facebook users are able to deactivate their profiles or their accounts, but are employers, do they have the power to view someone's account beyond their deactivation, because it does not terminate your account, it just kind of suspends you for a while, just a deactivation for however long a period, temporary period that the account user chooses?
Elena, this is Mr. Lance with Walmart. Someone on the panel might be able to better answer that. I don't know that we do. If we do, I'm not aware of it at all. One other thing I want to add, I have the microphone, just to add what Ms. Carey was saying, and I think it also relates to your question to some degree as well. It's just always err on the side of caution, being sure that what you're putting out there, you want to, it's appropriate, it's right to be out there, but also be sure your settings is that what you're making available to all, to groups, to friends, that is what you intend to make available to those different group settings. So I think that's important as well. But after deactivation, I really can't answer that because I just don't know.
I can tell you that you do, once you deactivate your account, if I go in after you do it, I can't see it. However, if someone has pictures, if someone has something and they've saved it themselves, then it can still be viewed.
Another thing you want to know is that there is, in Montana, there's an employer, and several employers are beginning to take liberties with this. When you fill out an application and accept employment, they ask you to list your username and passwords for your Facebook account, for LinkedIn, just to make sure that the person they are hiring is posting things that they would want affiliated with their company. So there are some people that are taking, some companies that are taking extreme liberties. So what may be yours, i.e. your password, then becomes the property of the company and they can access that information at any time.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with more questions from our audience here with Live with YMTF.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in. I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out. How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork? I help keep kids in school. Good. And that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live united.
Hello, and welcome back to Live with YMTF, broadcasting live from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, with our panelists, Keisha Carey, Ron Lance, Attorney Carla Martin, and Ricky Peer. We're going to continue at this time with getting questions for our panelists from the audience.
How you doing today? My name is Terrell Reeves. I'm a senior here, major in industrial technology. And my question is, as an employee, do you look at a potential employer's Twitter page, like who they're following, to make to think about their future with your company? Like, does it matter who the person is following?
I say yes. And I say yes to that because we talked about not posting extreme religious views, not posting extreme political views that tie you to, certain thoughts as to how people look at you. And the same thing with Twitter. So if you're following someone that is an extremist in whatever realm, you're interested in that person for a reason. So that tells that employer a lot about you as an employee or a potential employee, because you are going to follow people and or things that interest you and speak to your interest. So I think it's just a snapshot as to who you really are behind closed doors.
And I would agree with that, with the comment, again, from the federal government side of the house. We want to know who you are you worth the risk? If we bring you in as an employee, are you a risk to the security of the organization? And who you're following is very, very important to us.
And Terrell, I would add just one comment in regards, again, it's so widespread that, especially if you're out there on the edge, out there on the extreme side, it's very likely that it's very possible that that's going to become known, that somebody's going to complain about that possibly, and then your employer is going to look at that as a complaint that we need to follow up to, because is somebody operating outside our rules of conduct? So I think there's a real caution there. So very good question.
Also, if I could just add, perception is reality. I don't know you, Terrell, but how you're perceived would be my reality if I don't know you. So keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kendra McCraney, sophomore here at the university. I have a friend who Googled herself herself and she found a site where someone else had posted comments about her in a negative light, how could she, what does she need to do as far as when she's applying somewhere and they're Googling her and that comes up, and this person isn't a friend or someone that she necessarily knows that has posted these comments?
So most places, websites, etc., have an option for you to report for there being something that's defamatory that's being posted. So you can always, she could report that to the site that has posted that information. I suggest everyone Google themselves to see what's out there. Google posts things as what's viewed the most times first. So if you Google yourself and you get your family and your friends and your loved ones and your classmates to Google you and click on a certain positive story, that's going to be viewed the most times. So you can build what comes up first on Google by, clicking on the stories that show you in a positive light. So do that. Get your friends to do that. So should your employer Google you, the great story is going to come up first, and those things that may be a tad bit negative are going to be further down in the search. So you can control what comes up first. So, take that and do it to see what's out there.
I want to add one comment to that on maybe the other side of it, because I think it's a very good question in regards to you personally, what do you do about that? But I think there's also a caution there in regards to the person that might choose to do that, to post something that's wrong, misleading, and maybe it's being done as a joke. But I know I've had the situation where I've seen or been advised of a posting like that, where somebody played a joke on somebody else and it caused embarrassment. It made me feel very in a negative way towards the person who did that. So, and if that person at some point in time is applying for a position within my company, that's what I'm going to remember about that. So, I think people need to be thinking in terms of the larger picture as they consider the joking and the things of that nature, posting under somebody other's site and so forth.
As engaging as this is, I'm afraid we're about to run out of time. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our panelists for coming and sharing with us their opinions. And we appreciate the audience for the questions you've asked. But this concludes our 2011 Live with YMTF radio broadcast. We would like to thank our panelists, our sponsors, and our great audience, and you for tuning in to KUAP 89.7 on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So thank you for coming, and please participate in the YMTF program continuing on. Goodbye.